Good evening and welcome to American Computer Enthusiasts. Tonight, what's hot, what's not in the computer industry? Or call us with your questions if you need help from some industry know-it-alls. Stay tuned.
Portions of this show have been made possible by PC People, Houston's user-friendly source for business software, serving the business and academic communities. Call PC People at 789-6300 and talk to our dedicated staff when you're looking for intelligent answers to your software needs. And by Total CAD Systems, specializing in the sales, service, and support of CAD software and hardware for the PC, Macintosh, and Sun. Total CAD Systems is an authorized dealer for AutoCAD, the leader in computer-aided design software. Call 721-CADD. By GDT Reprographic Services. Providing documentation to the professional design industry using advanced technologies and personalized service. GDT, where you're more than a number. Call for free pickup and delivery.
The old computer you're putting out to pasture has the power to give new life. Computers you're going to scrap can keep millions of people from ending up on the scrap heap and being written off. Old computers donated to the National Christina Foundation are used to train people with differing abilities so they're alive with the skills society needs. Donate your old computers and other equipment to NCF. Call 1-800-CHRISTINA. Machines you can write off. People you can't.
And it looks like we're back. Welcome. We're live today, October the 8th, 1992. Tonight we have some know-it-alls, at least they claim to be know-it-alls. We have a computer guru extraordinaire and a techno nerd extraordinaire, should I say. And your host, Carlos Techno Weenie. Okay, but make sure you put the hyphens in the right place. Okay, tonight we're going to discuss just what's new in the industry. There's a lot of things going on in this industry. We're approaching NetWorld and Comdex. This month is NetWorld, next month is Comdex. And speaking of events, November the 11th at HAL PC, there'll be a special event. It starts at 6 p.m. with Microsoft unveiling a new product. It's a big secret, so be there. November 11th, 6 p.m., not 7 p.m. Okay? Tonight, our guest is, one of our guests, Steve Reeves. Steve, welcome to the show. You are the owner and Chief Executive Officer of Total CAD Systems, also one of our sponsors.
Right.
Welcome to the show. You're also taking on the job of hosting some of our shows.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about what's your forte in the computers.
Well, at Total CAD Systems, pretty much what we do is we specialize in CAD software, CAD hardware. But a lot of people ask us questions about, everything from hardware, software, what's good, what's bad, whatever. So that's why, I guess that's why I'm on this show, because so many people ask me questions. I figured, as a matter of fact, I gave you a sheet,
right.
Top 10 questions, kind of like the David Letterman. And they're top 10 questions the people ask me having to do with computers, CAD, which computer to buy, how much RAM, everything else, which graphics board, what's, like you say, what's new, what's hot. Everything
And what do you need to run what's new and what's hot?
Exactly.
Okay, our other guest this evening is James DiMaggio, or Domanjo. I guess you can tell he's from Louisiana or someplace. James, you're from ABIS, and it's a networking company, isn't it?
Primarily, we do networking, Novell, Lantastic. We try to do solution-based applications for companies. Come in, figure out exactly what's the best way to tie their information, share it, use a wise strategy on them.
Okay, great. Welcome to the show. What I noticed today at the convention, we had the Strictly Business Computer Show at the Astor Hall. James was there. I'm not sure if Steve made it out, but a lot of people in town made it out this yesterday and today. And I noticed a few interesting products out there. One I wanted to go over was WordPerfect Presentations 2.0. It's new, it's announced, and it's a DOS product. I didn't know anybody was still announcing DOS products. Has anybody heard about the product or had a chance to see it? James?
Yeah, I've played with it a little bit over the weekend and then again at the show. If you don't know it's a DOS product, you're not going to know. You need to be told it's a DOS product to believe it. It's got drag and drop. It's got your button icon bars. They've really done a very nice interface. Runs in 640K. they did a real good job. This is one of the pet projects that they're trying to come with, is stuff of this nature.
Okay, great. Well, I noticed also they added sound. That's interesting. We're wondering, we were talking earlier before the show, what sound has to do. I mean, how are corporations and business going to accept sound as part of their, their wish list or whatever, part of their have-to-buy thing. Right now, diskettes are have-to-buy. 10 years ago, I don't think they were have-to-buys in a lot of companies.
Right.
And is the soundboard going to be a have-to-buy? Steve, what do you think of that?
It really depends on the application, but I do think that in presentation graphics and in any kind of presentation, having anything like even CAD, but having to do with any kind of graphics for boardrooms, for presentations, for those kind of things, having sound connected to the graphics is that's the way everything's going now. Instead of having to have somebody, you can actually do it all on the computer now, everything. It's pretty slick.
That's nice. What do you think, James?
I agree. I think that we're going to see a segmented market come out and utilize this. You may see your Excel spreadsheet or your Lotus spreadsheet with little notes and doing step-throughs, showing you, well, that's what this line is and that's what this is and so forth. And it may even be talking to you. There's software out there now that will add up the columns in voice for you. But where we're really going to see the major push is the boardroom, the sales presentation. You remember more if you see, hear, and feel and experience something than you do if you just read it. So that's a ploy that's coming out. I saw a sales presentation where it had America the Beautiful, and she was going, buy America, and it's a video card manufacturer here in the United States. They cranked up the sound and started doing the thing with it. So we're going to see more and more ploys that way, but I don't think a sound card is going to be the way to go in the near future.
Let me get right. I'd like to remind everybody that we're live, 861-6283. Please give us a call if you have any questions regarding what's hot, what's not. Give us your opinion on what's hot and what's not. Also like to know what some of your pet peeves are regarding the computer industry, because we'll get to that a little bit later. What about what you think sound cards are not quite the solution?
I think a dedicated sound card is going to start phasing out. We're starting to see more and more of the video sound card combinations, and there's 2 new chipsets that have been announced that are full stereo implementation, low cost. We'll probably see them just implemented across the board. It's probably going to become a standard option, just like a serial or a parallel port, pretty much before it's over.
I like that standard option.
Standard option. Car dealerships. Standard options. Brakes.
Heater.
Yeah, but the prices are coming down so far. It's unbelievable the prices of a soundboard, 6 months ago and what they are now.
Well, you were telling me about one that's pretty interesting, new Sound Blaster, isn't it?
Yeah, I just saw it in PC Magazine yesterday. It was the Sound Blaster 16, which is a 16-bit board, as opposed to their 8-bit board. And I think the retail price is $399. I think that's what it is. And they also have some little one. They have a new one that's going to go on the parallel port too. That's I forget what the price of that is, but the prices keep coming. They keep getting better and better, and the prices keep getting lower and lower. But like you said about the new one that's going to be on the, just a chip on the board, that's the way to go, I would think.
How soon is that due to Orion?
You'll probably see it right after first of the year, I would think, in quantities. It was released, so it'll take some time for gear up. The Thunder and Lightning is out, Cardinal's out, Media Vision's out. They all have, Orchid has a new Fahrenheit 1280 with their stereo sound card. It's 16-bit processing also with the RAM DAC. There's a lot going on in that field. We're going to see it become just something that we just take for granted. It's going to be that way. But there is a new item that I like. There is a new subwoofer out for the Sound Blaster that is a detachable subwoofer. It's like your home stereo system at that point. It thumps. It gets some bass going in there. I saw a presentation on it.
That would be great with a notebook in your car. I got a computer that goes boom. Okay. Well, on the soundboard, RAM DAC, what is that?
It's the D-frequency analyzer that sets up stereo, as far as I understand. I'm not really into the frequency modulation run of radios. So
There's been some great articles in almost every magazine just in the last couple of weeks, like PC Magazine, explaining all these different soundboards, what to look for, what to get, what options, how they compare, everything else. Because it's been, well, one of the shows we want to do in November is on these new soundboards and everything else, and that's why I've been trying to look into it. And it's amazing, all the different options and things you have to look for. And
What are some of those briefly?
like frequencies and 16-bit number of whatever channels.
Yeah.
You know, if it you can connect the CD to it. Does it have MIDI connection? Does it have? There's all kinds of different things that you can have.
The other issue that you find on these cards is we're running out of slots. And so they're going to go to more of an integration to where, like the Thunder and Lightning has a CD built onto it. So you hook up your CD-ROM, your video and sound, and it takes up one
Save on
slot.
Okay.
So
We'll be right back. We're going to take a short break. It's break time here. Give us a call, 861-6283. We're live. We're talking about what's hot, what's not.
Vince, that new dummy cam is great.
Yeah, it'll sure give people a whole new outlook on what it's like when you don't wear a safety belt.
I think they'll get the picture.
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
He protects all living things in the forest. But he can't do it alone. Please don't play with matches. Put out your campfires. And never, ever forget the words of Smokey Bear.
Only you can prevent forest fires.
If you took away a star for every 1 million people who didn't vote, and a stripe for every 5 million non-voters, and a patch of blue for the 10 million people who didn't care, exactly what kind of flag are we waving?
Welcome back to Bits and Bytes. Okay, welcome back to American Computer Enthusiasts. Tonight we're talking with two know-it-alls, two nerds, two guru extraordinaires, whatever you want to call them. I'd like to mention something about next week's show. We're going to have Steve Reeves, which is a guest tonight. He's going to be hosting next week an affordable CAD and graphics programs from Autodesk.
Right.
Great. We were just talking over the break about, well, we got tired of talking about soundboards. So now we're talking about graphics boards and some of the things to look out for when you're buying a graphics board. Somebody that's buying a first-time PC maybe, what should they look for? I mean, we know now that you have to buy VGA or higher.
Right.
Probably SVGA or higher now.
Probably the strangest thing is most computers now come with the graphics board installed. So a lot of times you don't have an option unless they happen to ask you if you want an option. A lot of these places sell them turnkey systems. But a lot of the boards that they put in are really good ones. They're like the ATI board, or some of them have the board on the board on the motherboard built in. But there's a lot of the new the stealth boards. But they all have Windows drivers and drivers for AutoCAD, for all the different CAD programs that are out there. But the speeds are really getting fast. The regens in AutoCAD, for example, or just the speed and colors in Windows. And the price keeps coming down further and further and further. I mean, you can get a board. I've seen that new stealth board, the
WinX.
X24.
Yeah,
There's
X24.
X24 for less than $200, and the speed is unbelievable, and it's got some ungodly amount of colors. And there's that new ATI board. Goes up to, I think it's either 1024 by 768 or 1280 by 1024 with 67,000 colors, and it retails for like $599, including a mouse, so it's unbelievable where the prices and the speed are going with graphics boards.
There's an interesting thing about the chipsets. The S3 chipset by far is the best in CAD. If you're going to run CAD, run S3.
Right.
Nothing beats it. But in Windows, the Western Digital set's the one I like. It's within 2 points of the
would
S3
otherwise,
set.
Right.
that's
And,
known as Paradise Set?
the
Digital?
yeah, they can be called the Paradise set.
Okay.
That's what the Diamond that he was talking
Right.
about, the X24 or 24X, is running, and it's like 2 points off on all the wind benchmarks from the Diamond Stealth, which is the S3 model. And there's a $150 difference between the cards. So it depends on what you're going to do with it. If you're running DOS, you don't need it. If you're going to go to Windows, then you want it. The slower the machine, the more performance you'll get out of a processed video card.
Okay, let's say I'm a typical end user. I don't know if I know any typical end users, but let's say if I were, let's make a hypothetical typical end user.
All right.
Okay, he or she wants to go buy a computer to run a word processor and a spreadsheet under this fantastic new, easy-to-use graphical user interface, Windows. And that's because everybody told them, and they've read, and they see the ads, and they just want to basically communicate with their parents, friends, and others around the country, not primarily a business machine. What are they buying today? Do they need a Diamond Stealth card, or can they get away with one of these Oak or Prisms or something like that?
I think, for the most part, just any kind of super VG. You don't need super duper speed for just that sort of thing. But I do think, this is sort of a personal opinion, I think the higher resolution and the faster actually speeds up productivity too. I mean, besides what you just said, it's less zooming in and zooming out on a word processing program or something. If you want to see a full page, you can actually read all the words on your word processor, as opposed to zooming in and zooming out. You can read it just as a full page on a high res, like 800 by 600 to 1024 768. But if you don't need speed, VGA. But there's no point in doing VGA anymore. You can buy a super VGA board for $69 now. You just have to get a monitor to match it. That'll go up to above VGA.
What we're seeing as far as like a home user base, 386 obviously. 286, forget it. You're not going to run Windows on a 286. You don't want it. Get you plenty of memory, get you plenty of hard drive space. What I'm starting to tell people is the motherboard is almost becoming a throwaway item when you get right down to it. And you can get new upgradable motherboards to where you can drop in the overdrive processor, and double it if you want to go into that line. Or they're upgradable by changing a couple of jumpers. You pull the chip, it becomes a 486.
Right.
So the motherboard itself is just a backbone. But what you're finding is, and put your money where your memory is, where your hard drive space is. Video is great if you're going to need it. If you're going to do rotation and chart, it can always be an add-on later. And there's a lot of stuff coming down the pike. We're going to see a major change in the sound and video in the next year. It's going to be very interesting to watch. It's major play.
Okay, we have David holding on line one. Let's go to David. Good evening, David. You're on the air.
Hi, how are you today?
Hi, very good. How are you?
Yes, I'm interested in putting video onto computers. I'm also interested in doing Macintosh. So what do you recommend?
Who wants to handle that? It's a Mac question.
On the
I
Macs,
believe.
well, you probably want speed for one thing. It depends on your budget, actually. Because Macs, there's not really a Mac clone really that's out there. You have to buy Apple, but the prices of those have come down too. If you want to do graphics, what kind of graphics are you talking about?
Basically, motion picture.
See, you're going to need something pretty fast. I would recommend like a Quadra. They have that new 950 out or something like that, because you won't be able to put up with the slowness of like an SI or something. And the other thing is you need to make sure on the programs that you get, if you need something like a 68882 or whatever, a math chip on it. And also you need a lot of memory. But if for graphics and those kind of things, I would recommend, you can never have it too fast, but I'd recommend a Quadra 950 or something fast, 750, something that's fast that can regen things fast and good graphics, high resolution. And you're going to have to go with a lot of memory, I'm sure, too, probably like minimum 8 or 16 megabytes, maybe even 32 megabytes of RAM.
What about upgrading a FX or a CI?
You can do that. That's another option. If you already have that, you know, they like Daystar and different people like Radius. That Radius has that Radius rocket board that's out that you can speed things up and make it, if not as fast, faster than the 950, the Quadra 950.
Okay.
Pretty expensive. They're pretty hefty. They're pretty proud of those boards.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Now, did you want video or just like still video?
Video.
You want full motion video on your? That's going to take up a lot of storage, I would imagine.
Yeah, you'd also have to have, I would recommend a
Gigabytes.
very large hard drive or a read, you know, like a worm drive or something like that that you can hold lots of graphics on. I mean, you know, a gigabyte or something.
Okay.
Also, one thing I noticed that's getting pretty hot is the Canon still video. I don't know why they call it still video when they have the high 8 cameras now
Correct.
available, and they come with the whole complete kit to get started on the with the Macintosh. They don't have a complete kit for the PC yet.
Correct.
But they do have one for the Mac, and I heard it's a pretty hot item.
I saw that at the computer show today.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
What did you think of our little show here in Houston?
It was pretty good. I liked it.
Okay, great. Were you impressed with the Canon stuff?
I like the Canon L1 because you can interchange the lenses.
Right. It's a nice camera.
Yes, very much. All right, well, thank you.
Well, thanks for calling.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay, we go to Dan on line 2.
Oh, great.
We got lucky. We got a Mac person.
I know everything.
We have a modest person, modest Mac. Welcome to the show, Dan. You're on the air.
Hi, how y'all doing this evening?
Very good. How are you?
Listen, I've got a couple of questions. One, I bought my first computer about got very little and paid a lot of money for them.
Uh-huh.
And as I progressed, I went into Windows 3.1 this past March. And the problem I seem to have is getting confused between, you know, the OS2 systems out. And I've been looking at that, looked at a demo of it, and I'd like to just get y'all's opinion of what do you actually think is going to be the system of the future. And the problem that I'm having, continue to have with Windows is a stability factor in terms of just getting kicked out of it all of a sudden.
Okay.
Who wants to tackle that?
You want it? You want me to?
Between Windows and OS2, for example, I would say Windows is probably more of a standard than OS2. I have OS2 at the office, but I don't use it for the only reason I have it is to see if it'll work. I don't use it for anything, and I have one program that works on it, and that's Excel. So I really have no use for it except just to see, because everyone calls me up and asks, does AutoCAD work on it? Does this work on it? Does that work on it? But I would say Windows is more of a standard than OS2, but I don't know what's going to happen down the line, but I would stick with Windows. I would say right off the bat, to answer his question about stability, first thing I would ask is how much RAM do you have in that computer?
I've got 8 meg RAM.
You do have, and what did you say, was it 386 or?
It's a 48633.
Oh, 4633. I'd say it's probably user error. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I've always wanted to say that.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
A lot of system parity errors out of it.
You're getting system parity
Parity?
errors?
Yeah.
Then I-
Change your memory. That's strictly a memory motherboard problem. It has nothing to do with Windows at all.
Okay.
The easiest way to do that is to fix it. And, I mean, just to check it before you rip it out and change it is just take your top off and just take it out and put it right back in. And just maybe something's just not seated right. And sometimes that's a problem.
That can set up a parity. The other thing to do is just pull out your one bank, pull on one bank of the memory, and check that. Run it for a little bit, see if you can cause a parity error. Pull that bank, put the other 4 right back in the same slots. Run that for a minute. At least you isolate it down to which one it is. Or if you can find a shop that has a memory checker, they can drop the SIM in, check it out real quick. Parity doesn't have anything to do with Windows. Windows is pretty reliant, but as far as your question as to what's going to be the platform of the future, surprise, DOS. It's going to be here for a while, folks. We haven't seen the thing to compete. So that would be, I forget, I'm not supposed to talk to the phone. So anyhow, that would be the thing to look out for is we're going to see some new operations, OS2 3.1 kernels coming out, Windows NT's coming out, this Workgroups is coming out. It's going to be a rock and roll year. We haven't seen activity like this since '85.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank
you coming.
you.
Thanks. Okay, we go to Leland on line 3. Good evening, Leland. You're on the air.
Yes, my question is more of a general question about that demo disk for Norton Desktop, both for DOS and for Windows. And I tried running, first of all, the one for
for Windows, and locked up about halfway through the demonstration. And then I tried it again. I got the same results. Then I tried running the desktop for DOS, and no such problem. Conflict in there. Now I'm running. I have Stacker on there, of course. As far as device drivers, I'm sure there are a lot of them, but I don't know what might be causing it. So I asked the question at the Hal PC meeting the other night. No one can really give me a definite answer. Does anybody, one of the two guests, have any idea what might be causing this lockup? And the question is would the demo disk lock up? I mean, if the demo disk locks up, would the program itself lock up?
Is it a working model demo disk, or is it a full self-running demo disk?
However, it takes up over 2 megs of memory, so I can't run it from a floppy. I have to install it on my hard disk.
Question for you. How old is your computer?
Actually, it's only about I guess about a year and a half old, really. I got it.
Okay, what BIOS are you running? Do you know? When you turn it on, it shows up in the top left-hand corner of the screen.
Like Phoenix.
Does it says AMI or Phoenix or DTK, or have you noticed?
You talking about the BIOS?
Right.
The BIOS, right.
I forgot what it was.
Does it make a difference?
Yes, it can make a difference. Are you running Windows 3.1 on the system now?
I can't hear what?
Are you running Windows 3.1?
Yes, Windows 3.1. And the thing is, interestingly enough, I have a notebook computer which is running DOS. And I tried running the demo disk, which will run under DOS, and I had no problem with running it on the notebook. But it locks up when I run it on my desktop, which has Windows. It's got 4 megs RAM. It's got so it's I don't know.
Like
Cars are interfering or something.
I might think it has something to do with Stacker. If that's what you're going to say, Carlos. I
can't hear. I'm around the corner, so it doesn't interfere with. So my phone doesn't interfere with the.
All right.
If you speak a little bit louder to the phone.
All right. Okay. The first thing I would check is Stacker. I don't know. I've had a lot of different problems with Stacker. I have the software version, the XT version, and the AT version.
I've got 2.0. In fact, one thing I'm considering getting a much larger hard disk and putting it all uncompressed on there. So maybe when I get that done, I'll try running the demo disk and see what happens.
I think it might have something to do with Stacker. I've had a lot of strange problems with that. I mean, it works great in certain applications. Heavy-duty access to the hard drive back and forth, it's not real good for that. It's a good thing to have on a notebook or a laptop and you can't put a bigger hard drive in it, or you can't afford to put a bigger hard drive in. But I ended up taking it out of 2 of my machines. Anybody want to buy a couple of cheap Stacker boards? I'm just kidding. I have 2 Stacker boards. I just took them out. I got tired of changing every single thing, and every time I loaded a program, the config that sys was wrong. I didn't know where to put it. Was it C, D, or E, or F drive? It was always messing everything up, and there's a lot of strange things that can happen, but it may also have something to do with the BIOS.
What would be the minimum size drive you would advocate for someone using Windows now?
120 megs, smallest thing you should touch nowadays. Go up from there.
Yeah,
I'm planning to get over 200, so
that's perfect.
Be careful on those over 200s. But I know one thing. Right now, the biggest meg for the bucks, most megs per buck is going to be the 170s.
The 170s are the best buy.
Most meg per buck. They should be priced that way. They may not be, but as far as it costing a dealer, it's meg per buck is the 170s, the best deal around right now. But I expect that would change pretty soon with 200s coming out and 300s. Anything else, Leland?
No, thank you for the answer.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, and we go to Irv. We've missed you.
Irv made it here. Good.
Line 1.
For he's a delegate.
Hi, Irv. We've missed you.
You did?
I caught you on another show.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I was out of town last week.
Well, we thought our reception was bad or something.
Oh, no.
Our transmission was bad. Both.
You're looking good.
It's the maker.
I want to ask you about the hard drive technology, whether SCSI is going to become more prominent, or is there anything else that's going to take its place?
in terms of hard drive technology.
You're raising your hand.
I get this one. IDE drive is going to be the way we're going to see it rock and roll.
Really?
There's a reason for that. The manufacturer no longer has to make the hard drive work with all the different controller cards, okay? He can actually tweak it, tune it, put cache on it, put right back, put forward, read ahead forward. He can do anything he wants to in the factory. It's not ever low-leveled. It's incapable of being low-leveled properly. So don't ever low-level an IDE drive if you have one, please. And so it comes out, no defects. You don't have anything on the run. And they can tune that drive because the actual controller card is made into the drive. What we plug an IDE card into, IDE hard drive into now, is pretty much a dumb interface. All it does is send a signal out to the hard drive, and that's it. All the intelligence is built on the drive. We've got them in 340 megs now, and 1-inch form factor, 3.5-inch size, that are running 9 milliseconds.
I have an SD drive right now that is a little flaky. I think I'm going to have to replace it. I have some SCSI devices, like removable hard drives, that I want to use on the PC as well as on the Macintosh. So I'm in a quandary of which way to go, whether I go to a SCSI drive so I can use the SCSI chain, or go like what you just said about the IDE drive. But in any case, the controller card that I have will not work with anything else because it's geared to an SD drive.
The one thing that you may want to look at is some of the higher line or the better IDE controllers that have some brains, or the SCSI or the SD controllers can be set up as secondary controller. And then you can actually mix your hard drive types inside the computer. You have to have patience to set this up, but it will work.
You mean with an IDE drive, you can put SCSI devices on it?
Yes, sir.
Irv, will you hold on? We need to go to a break. Can you keep holding?
Sure.
And also, Grady will take you as soon as we come back from the break.
The old computer you're putting out to pasture has the power to give new life. Computers you're going to scrap can keep millions of people from ending up on the scrap heap and being written off. Old computers donated to the National Christina Foundation are used to train people with differing abilities so they're alive with the skills society needs. Donate your old computers and other equipment to NCF. Call 1-800-CHRISTINA. Machines you can write off. People you can't.
We can prevent the unthinkable. A flood with no Red Cross shelter. A fire and no Red Cross volunteer. A tornado victim without hope. Yet last year was devastating to the Red Cross. 8,000 major disasters. As a result, our ability to help disaster victims is threatened. Please help. Call 1-800-842-2200 and prevent the unthinkable from happening.
Jeffrey, hitting is wrong. You're bigger, you're stronger. You cool off and you don't hit. Period. Is that understood? Is it?
Well, is it? Take time out. Don't take it out on your child. A public service message from the National Committee for the Prevention of Child Abuse.
Set a goal to give 5 hours a week and 5% of your income to the causes you care about. The rewards will make you feel like a winner every day of your life.
We're back, and we're going right to the phones. I don't know, for some reason, us techno-weenies and techno-nerds and computer guru extraordinaires have generated calls. So we're going to go to Grady on line 2.
This is free information. We usually bill for this.
Grady, welcome to the show. Hello, Grady?
Grady.
Grady. Well, let's try Jeff on line 3.
Bye, Grady.
Hello, Jeff, you're on the air.
Good evening, gentlemen. How y'all doing?
Pretty good.
I got a question for you as far as y'all's view on optimally setting up Windows as far as your swap drive configuration and your smart drive configuration is concerned. I currently have mine set as my have A and B remarked out, and then have 2 meg set up for DOS and 2 meg set up for Windows. And my swap drive set at about 5 meg. I heard this comment for a Windows seminar, you should set your swap drive to 1 meg. How do y'all feel about that?
Swap drive should be set. The optimal on your cache is 2 megs
Okay.
on the smart drive. That's optimal setup, so you're doing good. No, the swap drive can go larger. So if you're running under virtual, you're running 386 enhanced, I take it, right?
And 32-bit.
Okay, and you got 32-bit on? Now, run as much as you want because they'll use just like resources.
Okay.
Swap in and out. It becomes memory to Windows.
Okay.
Okay.
Another question.
Fast.
I'm at the office. I'm running on a network 311 network, and occasionally I'll run into these errors. Cannot load resources, most probable cause, out of memory, and I've got 8 meg, and I've got plenty memory free.
You running Windows off your local drive?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you install it for Novell?
Yes.
What shell are you running?
Drivers 3.26.
Okay. Got all that set up properly. The only thing...
I just switched to ODI this past week, and everything seems to be running fine, but I had the memory errors before I switched to ODI also.
That's what, I was going to flip you over to the IPX ODI. That seems to be the best handle. And there's a new one out called BurstNetX, BNetX.
Burst mode?
Yeah. It seems to handle some of that, but you may want to look at if your machine is actually freeing up the memory after it's done.
Okay. All right, I appreciate y'all's time.
Thank
Okay,
you.
great.
Thank you.
Thanks. And we're going to nobody. Okay.
I found, just one more comment on that, I found that I just reformatted my hard drive on one of my computers, and I had loads of space left on there, and I made it a 25 megabyte swap drive, and I couldn't believe how fast everything was. It was unbelievable. The only reason I did it because I had a new software program, it's called Renderize, and it requires that, and I never even thought about changing things around like that, and it made a huge difference in speed. Just on
Renderize.
every application.
That's a PC product?
Right. Just
For
a
Windows.
rendering program, but it requires a 25 megabyte swap drive. So it takes a lot of memory.
Great. Okay, we need to go to Jim on line 2. Good evening, Jim. You're on the air.
Evening. I'm trying to locate a hand scanner that would run with a notebook, either plug into the serial or parallel port. Does that exist?
Does it?
Well, does it? I'm not aware of a hand scanner that'll work without a card. Are you?
There's a parallel interface. It is put out by... I'm mind blanking. I've seen it. I have no idea. You have any idea who it is?
Wait.
Okay, you're waving at me to look at the camera, so I'm looking at you, so you answer me. I can't remember who did it.
I think, no, you know what? I think Logitech might have come.
I think it was.
It came out at, I don't know if it ever came out, but I know that we were awaiting the product to come out. It was a parallel scanner. I
Yeah,
think
because both of them that I have both have boards that go in.
Right. You know, it seems to be a problem right now. A lot of people are requesting it. They want to go to the library and get information.
Right.
Without.
I talked to Logitech, and they, because there's no place to obviously put a board in a notebook.
Right.
They've got to move things down to the hand scanner itself, and they are a ways from that. I didn't know if I was wasting my time and continuing to try to look for some manufacturer. I certainly have not yet come across anybody.
I haven't seen
I haven't seen it either.
Do you already have your notebook?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Too bad. I know one that has a mouse port, a scanner port built into it, but that's not going to help you either. They just build the card in.
Visit, may I ask?
Sir?
Who is it?
Who puts it out?
Lynx. L-Y-N-X. Or L-Y-N-K-S. I don't remember which way it's spelled.
I think it's LYNX.
L-Y-N-X. Lynx has one that has a hand scanner port built onto the back of it.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Stump the nerds.
I don't think there's anything out there.
We'll go to David on line
All right,
1.
he stumped us.
Admit defeat. Welcome, David.
Hi, Carlos.
How you doing?
Doing great. How are you guys?
All right, hanging in there.
Good. Puzzled. I've got to break down and get a CD-ROM. Ordered NT, and of course the developer NT is on CD.
Right.
And so I'm looking at the various CDs on the market, and the newer ones, they have a faster access time. They usually run with caddies. What I'm wondering about is if you could comment on the interfaces. The older ones were, I believe it was, what, High Sierra, and I think the newer ones are either SCSI or ISA, ESA interfaces. Comment on that, please.
You want to take that, CD?
You've been researching it. You can talk on this one.
We've been looking at quite a few. David, this is at home? You're not networked at home, right?
No.
Okay. The hottest thing is that NEC. It's the 84 is external, and the 74 is the internal. It's not too inexpensive. It's not too expensive. Also, it has it's very fast. It's 282nd millisecond. It has a cache, and I guess it gets up to 150 kilobyte per second throughput. So it meets all the requirements, and it has a double spin, all sorts of stuff for multimedia. Just what Microsoft ordered is what NEC delivered. I need to check out some things. I heard there's problems with that drive on a network, so we want to address that here until I get definite things. You can all call me or call a later show and check that out. But the NEC is really hot. Also, the Toshiba is hot, and these are all standard drives. Toshiba 3301 and CD Technologies has a hot one, and also the Sony. So you have quite a bit of choice on these drives.
And these SCSI or?
They're all SCSI.
Right.
I believe it's SCSI 2, most of them.
Most of them are SCSI 2 standard.
So,
What I was looking at was the CD Technology 3301, the Porta drive.
okay, now that is an OEM of the Toshiba.
It's
So, right, in that Toshiba OEM. It's an OEM, the CD
Is
Technology.
it Toshiba or is it NEC's Porta drive?
It's a Toshiba drive mechanism.
Okay,
All right.
yeah.
They just
Yeah,
put their name on it.
You know, sometimes when you can get a better deal. You know, you can buy the Toshiba name and pay a little bit more, or buy the CD Technology or another name and get the same Toshiba drive mechanism and pay a little less. But I'm not, you know, you usually end up giving up something else somewhere along the line.
Right.
But the CD Technology gets rave reviews right now. You know, it's hot. It's, you know, one of the recommended ones for sound and full motion video. So both the Toshiba and the CD Technologies get high ratings in that.
Okay, great.
So, all right, and that's it, huh? You know, I was going to ask you, since you're a high-tech techno person, techno nerd, did you go to the show this week?
No, I'm afraid I had to work.
Okay.
On a short leash this week.
Yeah. Okay, great. I wanted to see what your thoughts were on it.
Well,
Okay.
unfortunately, you should have asked Herb. He probably went.
Yeah, shit, I forgot. So, okay.
All right.
Well, thanks for calling, David.
Thanks, guys.
And we go to Ernie on line 3. Ernie, welcome to the show.
It's Arnie.
Arnie. Oh, Arnie. Okay.
Yeah, I wondered if you had any information on the new IBM technology as far as voice recognition in the taking of dictation through the new. I was in Business World, I think, last month concerning I think 60 to 70 words per minute of dictation into oral recognition.
Saw it this weekend. It's called IBM Ultimedia, or it's a segment of Ultimedia. It's really nice because they have come up with a new trick that nobody else has been able to do yet. They actually have compression of the routines, the sound files on the fly, go down to the hard drive and come back. That also enables them to play back live video straight off of their cards. It's the same technology using a different set of the compression chip. Really a nice looking product. They really did a good job with it, and it's probably the one that everybody's going to have to kind of beat. They're going to have to get on the fly compression and recognition to go.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I got 2 announcements. Can I do my announcements?
Oh, yeah.
2 announcements.
The big ones?
Yeah, I got big announcement. You heard it first here on ACE. I went all the way up north to see this thing. It's not out anywhere. Practical Peripherals will be bringing out a new font cartridge for the Hewlett-Packard 2 and 3. It will plug into the font. You plug the phone line in. You have receive-only plain paper fax. List price on this is $150. It is going to be a hot item. Look for it. They'll probably unveil a Comdex with a network version shortly thereafter. So I did my duty.
What about your other announcement?
Which other one do I want to announce?
Cheyenne.
Oh, Cheyenne? FactServe. brand new. If you need a network faxing solution, it is the first NLM. Goes into your network server, uses Intel Satisfaction or Satisfaction 200 card, runs as an NLM or VAP. You have fax, send and receive capability, messaging, routing, MHS compatible, WAN compatible, all the way across your network. List on that's $9.95 for the software plus your Satisfaction card. Street price will probably be lower than that. If you have any questions, feel free to call me at Abus. There's my plug.
Okay. That's pocket change, right? Okay, we're going to go to Gloria on line 2. Hi, Gloria. You're on the air.
Hi. I have a couple of questions. First off, I'm going to be running DeskView 386 along with Stacker and MS-DOS 5.0, but I'm also going to be running a mini bulletin board, I guess you could consider it. I do understand that a computer can go up as high as 4 COM ports. Is that correct? Besides the 2 that COM1 and COM2, is that correct?
That's correct. COM ports are 4. They only have 2 IRQs, though. Remember that.
But to make it be 4 total, does that mean I have to have like a special cable or something to go beyond the normal 2 that most people use?
You just add another serial card, and you would set up the serial card as COM3 and COM4. Most of the serial cards are straight addressable. And when you get the serial card, go ahead and get you an extra LPT port, too, because they usually come together. Then you'll have 4 serial and 2 LPTs for your printers, and you'll be able to run that way.
So could you repeat that again of what I would need again, a serial port card?
Yeah, it's a serial parallel card.
Serial parallel card?
The most people refer to them as multi-IOs.
Probably cost you $39 or less.
And I think they're down to $20.
Yeah.
It's called
$39?
20.
$29.
You get 2 serial ports out of the deal, and a parallel port, and a game port.
Yeah, got to have that
Think
second
about
game port.
$29.
Right.
It's called a multi-IS?
I.O.
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 Input, output.
Right.
Don't know what I'm talking about when I say that.
Right. And just go. You can call James, actually. You might get his. What's your
I've
phone
got them
number?
in stock. 862-2247. 862-2247.
That's if you're in the, he's in the Heights area.
Okay.
And he'll have those. They're very inexpensive now.
Okay, one more question.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to be buying another computer as well. To do all what I'm wanting to do, how much megs of memory would you suggest, and how large of a hard drive? Because I'm going to be basically storing text files versus a lot of regular files.
Is this for your bulletin board?
Yes, it's like a mini bulletin board with 4 lines, incoming lines. What would be the smallest, or that you would say, as far as hard drive I would need, and how much memory?
Depends on the text, I think.
First, I would say minimum 120. I mean, for a bulletin board. Yeah, I was going to say minimum 120. I'd go higher. I mean, because you have people uploading, downloading. You have got
No uploading at all.
Oh, okay. But it's still.
What kind of text files are you talking about?
How big are they?
They're very small. They're text files concerning different computer subjects.
Oh, okay.
I've typed up an information I've saved in a DOS text file, and then the person could either view it online as a door or as a bulletin
Okay.
or a newsletter online.
Are you using are you using bulletin board software?
Yes, it's a shareware program.
Which one?
And it runs under a multitasker. I'm using DeskView 386 at the moment.
Oh, which one is that?
It's called Tribs.
Okay.
Very new. It just came out on the market, on the shareware market, been less than 5 months. And it's a guy that written it rather. He's out of Bangor, Maine.
Have you looked at any of the multi-user bulletin boards as far as the multiple modems? Instead of tying up 4 COM ports, you're looking at 4 modems that way. There's another add-on card that will give you the four COM ports in one card, and it's 4 modems basically that share. It's all in one card. And Galacticom's a good bulletin board system that supports this.
Right.
So,
as a matter of fact, we have a call. If you'll stay tuned, listen to. We have a caller that's going to talk to us on line 1 about.
No.
Oh.
He was just writing it.
Oh, I'm fixing my signals. Never mind.
Okay.
I thought this was like a networking program. You know?
But just to answer,
But that's what I was going to suggest. The multiple modem solution,
Right.
you can get up to 8. Because if you grow, a lot of people's bulletin boards tend to grow
right.
in number of lines.
I have a bulletin board at Total CAD Systems, and we're up to 120. I started with a 40 meg hard drive originally, and I had no room for anything. And up to 120, I'm constantly deleting things, zipping all the files, deleting things because there's never any room. I need to upgrade it again because just the file system alone takes up a lot of space, and constantly, purging things out to try to make everything fit. And but I would say, like I said, minimum 120. I'd say at least 200 if you're going to really get into the bulletin board and keep it up to snuff.
8 megs of memory.
8 megs of memory. Okay.
At least.
And one last question: is it true that you cannot run Stacker on a bulletin board? I've heard so many mixed things about it. Some people say yes, some say no.
It depends on the software application. Like we were talking earlier, Stacker can be kind of quirky. Just buy a bigger drive and don't run Stacker. That's the best way to go.
Especially on a bulletin board, you can't afford any problems on a bulletin board, especially if it's going to be online and you're gone or something, and you want as few problems as possible.
Okay, I just forget the Stacker. Just go to a
I would. Just buy a bigger hard drive.
Thank you for your call, Gloria. We need to go to a break now.
Helps the Stacker people out.
Thanks. We'll stop, and we'll have just a short segment when we return.
Portions of this show have been made possible by PC People, Houston's user-friendly source for business software, serving the business and academic communities. Call PC People at 789-6300 and talk to our dedicated staff when you're looking for intelligent answers to your software needs. And by Total CAD Systems, specializing in the sales, service, and support of CAD software and hardware for the PC, Macintosh, and Sun. Total CAD Systems is an authorized dealer for AutoCAD, the leader in computer-aided design software. Call 721-CADD. And by Arc Image, creators of award-winning computer graphics and animation. For advertising, illustration, presentation, and communications, Arc Image can show you a better way to tell your story.
Well, D87-4, you did a great job for us for years.
Enjoy your retirement.
So it's time to retire your old computer. Instead of writing it off as useless, donate it to the National Christina Foundation, where it can give new life by training people with differing abilities to sparkle with the skills society needs. Donate your old computers to the National Christina Foundation. Call 1-800-CHRISTINA. Machines you can write off. People you can't.
We're back, and I understand we need to go right through the phones again. We've been talking about what's hot, what's not with James DiMaggio of Avis and Steve Reeves of Total CAD Systems. So we have Bill on line 1. Let's go to Bill. You're on the air. Bill?
Hey, Bill.
Oh, wait, Bill moved to line 3. Bill, you're on the air.
Yes, good evening.
How you
I
doing?
wanted to ask if you guys could more or less explain that line that Windows 3.1 inserts the stacks equals 9,256. I wonder if you can give me an explanation. And I wanted to say hi to, is it James or Jim?
James.
I saw him today at the expo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Great.
I met a lot of people at the expo. Those that dropped by the booth, thank you very much. I actually had 3 people come up and say, hey, I've seen you on TV. Felt kind of neat. So if you see us out, we enjoy that. We're doing this for volunteer stuff, so thank you for watching. Stacks is basically setting up 9 blocks of 256 for your older DOS programs. My suggestion is, in that config sys, if you're not running older DOS programs, the first thing I recommend is 0, 0. Replace the 9,256 with 0, 0. Leave the stacks in there because Windows likes it. It does some functions integrally down underneath, and when you run QEMM, if you run memory managers, it likes a 0,0 line because it won't pick up the DOS default stacks that way. So don't just delete the line, but change the numbers. Okay?
Okay, and one more question about that. So basically, would I be liberating memory for Windows itself if I was not running any DOS application?
Well, if you're, what you're basically doing is you're stealing memory from Windows to run an older DOS application that requires a 256 chunk. If you're running something that requires DOS 3.3, then you're going to probably need that. Anything basically under DOS 401 or above is not going to require that anymore.
So WordPerfect 5.1 would be fine?
Nah, just put it 0,0.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
There's a lot of undocumented features about Windows and things that it puts in like that.
Where does one find information like that?
I buy
Windows
every
Resource Kit. 19,
Right.
What is it? How much is it?
$19.95.
$19.95 book. This
PC
thick, you
people.
can read for a whole weekend.
Comes with a disc and
Yeah, it's
everything
got
else.
utilities. You can even get your fish. If you don't have your fish, you can get your fish right there.
Get your
The
fish
thing
and
is,
eat it too.
I like camp out at Bookstop, and I buy like every Windows book there is.
Oh, you're the guy I walk over in the aisle?
I have to keep a little book of all the books because I remember which books I have and which books I don't have.
Database of computer books.
There's like a cover chart for me to get
CD-ROM
out.
version.
HP Palm Top. Okay, don't have that one. Scan it in.
But I learn a lot from books.
Well, we're down to a few, one more minute or so, minute and a half, something like 2 minutes. Okay, great.
Magazines, too. Windows magazines.
Windows magazines, OS2 magazines, are they out yet?
There's 2 Windows magazines.
They all
Windows
both,
Users and Windows.
Yeah.
And they're both real good and they're current. And they keep you up on everything, like these stacker things and whatever. It's a good way to learn a lot.
And want to get some closing comments from y'all. I'll give you an idea of something maybe that you'd like to see change or something different. But for example, one of the problems I see as a reseller is that for some reason the major software vendors or publishers have assumed that everybody has a 386 with 4 megs of RAM now. Even on DOS programs, a lot of vendors are shipping only high-density disks. No more low-density disks. No more. They think everybody has a 1.2, a 1.4. They're shipping DOS programs that require above 640K and a 286 or above, and not too many 286. It's one program on the market by one vendor. It says works on IBM PC and compatibles, but then you have to have a 286 with 2 meg of extended memory. Okay, not a whole. I don't think a lot of 286 were sold like that. A lot of people went right to 386 if you're going to buy that much memory. That's one of my pet peeves right now. A lot of vendors are assuming this. They assume you have a hard drive. I'd like to let some vendors out there know that not everybody has a hard drive, especially people buying little tutor programs.
Do we have a soapbox for that? I mean, let's just put something underneath it.
So this is just one of my pet peeves.